Welcome to the Smash Jump Podcast, your place for honest and passionate gaming conversations. Today, we're going to do something a little fun, a little different. Today, we want to talk about game consoles. We know them, we love them, we get all of our experiences from them, unless you're, one of these PC people, admittedly, like myself. But they have a lot of memories stored inside of them. And today we are going to be talking about all the different game consoles from the major companies, Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, and then a little bit extra sprinkled in there if we have time at the end. And we're going to be putting them on a tier list from S tier all the way down to F tier. We're going to find out which ones are the best. Don't know the criteria yet, really. We're going to have to talk that out a little bit, but we're going to have a great time doing all of that. I'm Ashton Lavelle, your host and Smash Jump contributor, and with me are a couple awesome people.
Hey, my name's Gabe. I'm the editor-in-chief at Smash Jump.
And I'm Nicole. I am a contributor at Smash Jump.
A seamless beginning. I want you guys to know, peek behind the curtain, there were plans, there were ideas, there were whole things that we were going to do. I had a whole, I write my script at the beginning for every podcast just so I don't get, lost in the sauce. Did not happen today. We had to change plans, but it's all good. It happens. And we shut off the cuff. I think it did pretty good. I don't know.
I think I'm partially to blame. So time zones are confusing. So
time zones, daylight savings time sucks, guys. It really sucks.
It really does.
Yeah, I hate it.
It's really annoying.
Yeah.
But either way, we made it through it and we figured things out. So today we are going to be doing this console tier list. But before we do, there are games that we like to play, sometimes on consoles, sometimes not. And I'm curious to know what you've been playing. Nicole, what you been playing?
So I've been really busy this week, so I haven't gotten too far, but I'm currently playing Split Fiction, which is another of Joseph Fares's Hazelight games. I'm super excited to finish it. I'm about 5 hours into it, just finished some of the first core story beats, and I'm having an absolute blast. It's really funny, really chaotic. Story is not as good as the last one, but I think that doesn't really affect it. It's so big and wacky and wonderful. So I definitely recommend everybody find a friend or a partner and go ham. I'm playing it on Xbox as well. So
oh, perfect. Yeah. We're gonna rank that console on there in
just
a minute.
Yep.
I'm really interested in playing Split Fiction. I'm really excited to play it one day. We're gonna play. My partner and I are gonna play A Way Out first. I'm not sure when.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Sometime soon. But we'll see because it was on like PS Plus at one point, and so I picked it up. So I have it for free, so we'll start there and then decide when we want to do Split Fiction. But I'm excited for that. Gabe, have you been playing anything recently? You've been hitting pretty well recently.
Yeah, I actually haven't been playing much.
He's back. He's back into the old game.
yeah, I am. Yeah, no, I watched Luca though. So,
the movie.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm so basketball brained right now that
That's
I thought
fine.
you meant Luka Doncic for the LA Lakers because he just got traded over there a couple weeks ago and he's been playing and I've been all engrossed. My bad.
Amazing. Oh, so
I've been playing Dragon Age 2. I've been back in my Dragon Age era a little bit. I haven't played Veilguard yet, but I'm trying to work my way back up to there because it had been years since I played Dragon Age. And I've been playing it for the past week, and I get about 2 to 3 hours every day to play games, right? About every weekday, 2 to 3 hours at night after everything's calmed down. And in that time, for the past week, I have put like 17 hours into this game, and I don't know how. There was a weekend in there somewhere, but it has been a lot. And it's not even like Dragon Age 2 isn't even as good as Origins, which, I put like 70 hours in, but like there's something about the way they do their quests that are so fast and like snappy that you get through them so quick and you just get a dopamine hit of like, here's a bunch of experience. You did a small little segment where you make a decision or whatever, and you move on to the next thing. And it's like, it wastes no time and it makes time just fly. And it's crazy, but I have more full thoughts on it once I actually finish it.
Both playing EA games.
We are.
Oh, look at us. Some of EA's
ancient
best.
One and a new one. Brand new game versus an old school game. But
look at us showing the love to EA.
And you know what EA did a lot is make a lot of video games for a lot of consoles. Boom, transition.
Yeah, they did.
We're doing it. We're doing it. And so today we're going to start off by doing a little console tier list. So as you can see here on the screen, We've got consoles from all sorts of things. We've got Nintendo up here in order from like release date. We've got PlayStation on here, and we've got Xbox on here, and we even have a little bit of the handhelds
Yep.
involved as well.
Yep.
So the question for you guys is, before we go ahead and start off with the original Nintendo Entertainment System here, with the tier list, we got S, A, B, C, D, and F. What do you think the criteria should be for the consoles? What makes a console better than another console?
Working.
Yeah, if it's broken, yeah. Yeah.
Red Ring of Death kind of caused some issues there. So in terms of being an Xbox girly, I'm definitely going to have a difficult time there in the middle when we get to the 2000s.
Yeah,
So,
Absolutely.
that's fair. Yeah.
yeah. I will say as well, the never used / heard of section is going to be very interesting because it's weird because we'll be looking at this as a bunch of babies because we're all born late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
So we missed a lot of these, and a lot of
Yep.
these are newer ones. So how is ours going to compare to people who are older than us who got to fully appreciate these things?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be
nostalgia is
weird.
going to play a big factor here too because
Yeah, huh?
while I've played games from some consoles that existed before I was born, right? I'm thinking
Mm,
Super Nintendo. One of my favorite games is Earthbound, for example, and I
yeah.
have a Super Nintendo. It's stored away
Mhm.
right now because I don't have space for it. But when I have a house, maybe one day. But the experience of playing a game, say through other means outside of the console itself,
Yep.
we could say, is very different than if you were at the time putting that cartridge in, clicking the power button, and grabbing that controller and playing, right? Those are different experiences that could impact things. So I think
Yeah.
it's fair to say that's going to have somewhat of an impact on how we feel about each console. But I think one big criteria, obviously, I mean, come on, guys, it's the games, right?
Yeah.
What games are you going to play on these machines? And so even if we haven't had hands-on experience as much with some of these consoles, I definitely think the games that you can find on it and that we love from them will also be a huge factor in terms of where we rank these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's gonna be very interesting, actually.
Now, Gabe, what do
Mhm.
you think about what about features? Do you think how much do you think features factor into when you think about a really great console?
I feel like features. So, there's consoles here that I see that are ones that I'm like, is it a feature or is it a gimmick? Because to me, those are different things.
Okay.
Features are something that is going to still be something that could be seen as relevant for the console, whereas a gimmick, Nintendo loves gimmicks.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely. Yeah.
like, I think that they're kind of important for certain consoles, ones where it's very clear that Nintendo wants to keep this or PlayStation wants to keep this.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. What about looks, right? Because these are consoles, right? They've got to sit out somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
right? Sometimes you can hide them away,
Yeah.
but you don't want them to overheat. So you got to make sure they have the right air. So a lot of them stand out outside in your entertainment center or what have you, and you can see it when you pass by. And you don't really want a box that looks like dog shit just sitting on your TV, like near your TV or whatever. So
Yeah.
do the look of the console affect anything to you guys?
To a degree for me, a little bit. Not much. Not much. Handhelds, the way they feel and look for me can have an
Yeah.
impact. But like the looks don't matter too much when it comes to the actual bulky consoles themselves because I mean that's
Yeah.
just sitting in a corner. So I'm not bothering me too much. But I think in terms of like Nintendo is gonna be a big focus for me is probably gonna be that is gonna be how they feel and how they I can carry them around and stuff, to be honest, because a lot of it's handheld. So yeah.
It's fair. Gabe, you
Yeah.
kind of just agree with all that?
Yep. Yep. I agree.
All right. I kind of feel similar. We'll get into some of it once we get down here a little bit because some of these consoles do have a nostalgia factor because of how they look, but we'll get
Mm.
into that a little bit. So let's go ahead and start with our first console here, the Nintendo Entertainment System, old school Nintendo Entertainment System. Where are we thinking about it? Obviously, S, we're talking the best of the best.
Yeah.
Superior, cannot be matched F, we're talking about the worst of the worst, garbage, unplayable, never ever touch this in your life.
Yeah.
Where in that range do you guys think the Nintendo Entertainment System belongs? And I'm just going to put it here for a visual, not because I think it's C tier.
Mhm. I mean, like, I
Although
think
maybe I do.
that is probably a good spot to start because, like, look, the one thing that like the NES really had for it was that it was the reason why you know, gaming became popular. So it could be higher,
Mm,
but at the same time, the its next console iteration kind of improved upon it. So I don't want to
yeah,
put it too high to start.
I agree. I was thinking maybe B tier just because
Mhm.
I do think of like is a bit more mid, and I feel like
Mhm.
this was just above mid. Um,
Fair.
but I mean that depends on what Ashton has to say because there's three of us, so like we can
Yeah.
find like a good middle ground. But
Oh,
I'm
yeah. We're
between
going to
like
have to talk it out. Talk it out.
I'm between B and C on this. I do think that it was so important to the history of the consoles. And obviously, if you think about how things have improved over time, a lot of these consoles are not like S tier in terms of like playability now, but they were back then. So there's a weird balance to be struck.
Hmm. Yeah.
I think influence is a big deal when it comes to
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Nintendo because, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, we had consoles, right? We had like the Ataris and stuff. But when you think the Genesis, Sega, when you think of the beginning of home console gaming outside the arcade, really popularizing just playing games at home, I think the Nintendo Entertainment
Yeah.
System. And I think about just having something at home that you plug in that blew the hell up. Had a bunch of peripherals too, like the laser gun thing when you play in Duck Hunt and
Yeah.
um
Classic.
absolute classic. And like still I remember a few years ago going to a flea market and still seeing somebody pop up their CRT and do a demo because they were trying to sell their Nintendo, and like it's still super fun. The problem
Hmm.
with the Nintendo is the games, because while there's a lot of classic, really excellent games, Mario, obviously 1, 2, and 3, you've got the origin of Metroid and stuff like that. A lot of the games are like, I wouldn't say like a lot of Nintendo games still hold up in terms of how they feel, but they're also very, old school. They're very basic, and they also can be very difficult and
Hmm.
in ways that are kind of artificial because they wanted to just inflate the game time, right? They wanted you to be able to say, hey, there's a lot of content here, buy our cartridge. And so I think I'm also leaning B or C, but I think I might, for the influence alone, I kind of lean the B direction
Yeah.
Okay.
just
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
so important for gaming as a whole.
But we're kind
Um,
of agreeing on this, which is good because that makes
Yeah.
this easier to a degree.
Yeah.
So
all right, so we'll go
see what
ahead.
people
We'll
think.
put it in B. And then we can also, if we have time at the end or maybe at the post show, if we don't, we can maybe like go through after it's all done and then see
Yeah.
if we want to switch anything around at the end. Because it's a little
Yep.
different whenever it's a blank tier list versus when it's already filled out and you can kind of say, this doesn't look quite right to me. This should be ahead of this, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Makes
let's go
sense.
ahead and move on to the Super Nintendo. What are we thinking about the Super Nintendo? It's not just Nintendo, it's Super.
Yes. I feel like probably either also B or yeah, I think either B or A.
B
Why is
or A
that?
here, B or A.
B.
What's putting it above in your what's putting it between B and A for you?
I think like it's still the influence aspect of it. The Super Nintendo is arguably you would think of a lot of people would think of the SNES before the NES.
This is true. Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say between B and A for me on this one as well, for the mainly for the influence. I
Hmm.
agree.
I'm at A because I think I agree. It's got a lot of the same influence that the Nintendo does, but the games are better.
Yeah,
It's just got better
fair.
games. The Mario game, Mario World's better. Earthbound, great. The Final Fantasies are better. Super Metroid's better. Like I just think
So
all the games are
Hmm.
better.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I see that.
fair.
Yeah, I'm happy with an
You
A
got
on.
2 extra buttons on the face. There's 2 extra buttons. Actually, there's
Yep.
4 because they got shoulder buttons too. There's 4 buttons.
Ah,
I'm fine with
that's a
A
good
as
point as
well.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, more buttons. Yeah, no, that's a
More
good point.
buttons. And now we see from now on, I don't know if this was the first console to do that, but we see from now on, like every controller has 4 buttons on the face.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just a
Yeah.
standard thing now, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool. So, everybody cool with A?
Yeah, I'm pretty chuffed with that.
Yeah.
All right. All right. The Virtual Boy.
F. F. I don't think
But it's
anyone,
VR, Gabe. It's VR.
I
Oh
don't think
dear.
anyone can argue for the Virtual Boy.
No, I
But
can't. I
Mario
have
Tennis
nothing.
VR, Gabe. You don't understand.
I
That
get
red
a
really made the colors pop, you know?
I
They
get
were
a
trying too
headache
hard.
from I get a headache from modern VR. Like
Yeah. I think they were
Yeah.
trying they were trying to be too ahead of their time for this
Yeah.
period, and it wasn't gonna
way
work.
ahead of their time.
Yeah.
Holy.
yeah,
Have any of you ever put one on before?
No,
no.
I've seen videos of other people trying to work
Yeah,
them, but I've
yeah.
never done it myself.
I would love to give it a shot, but I mean, look at that controller. Like, what the hell is that? It
It's
looks
Yeah,
like
I
disgusting.
don't know.
it looks
It's
like a controller's bones, like a
Yeah.
skeleton of a controller.
yeah.
It's so thin and like malnourished. It's so terrible.
Yeah,
An
feed it
anorexic
something.
controller. Jeez.
Yeah.
It's ill. It's very ill. All right, I think we can all agree on that one. All
Yeah.
right, this is kind of a big one.
Hmm.
Nintendo 64. So I'm gonna start off here. Nintendo 64, heavily influential here. This is just a placeholder. Heavily influential here. 3D graphics really blew that up. Lots of games that are considered some of the best of all time: Zelda Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Mario 64, Star Fox 64. Like the list goes on. But I think there's a 3D console that's a little better.
Mhm.
I think the Nintendo 64 is maybe it's a I'm willing to think, but maybe it's a B tier because that controller also is a pain in the ass.
Oh, I
That
hate it.
controller
I
is
was
not
going to
Yeah,
say
that's fair.
that the reason I hummed at the beginning is because the controller is not for me. So I think that's a big impact. I'd also put it at B.
Yeah. I mean, like B or A, either works for
Yeah.
me.
Like
Yeah.
the thing with putting in A would be off the back of its games, right? Because it does have the games, man. Like
Yeah.
GoldenEye, bringing first person into like the limelight for like really perfecting that. You know, Perfect Dark, which Microsoft is trying to like bring back now. Banjo Kazooie, Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah.
Like,
Now you're
And
making me be like, should it be an A? Oh, it might have to be A on this. We're gonna
it's
have a lot
really
of
like,
A's.
oh man. And
We're
then
gonna
there
have a
was,
lot of A's on
don't
this.
forget, there was an expansion pack for it. There was you plug it into the back of the controller, and some games required you to have that, some games didn't, which was a little weird, but Nintendo does weird things, I guess.
yeah.
That was a little strange.
Yeah, I'm
This
between
was
B
a
and A
tough
on
one, I
this.
feel like.
This is tough.
I
That
think
controller is arse though.
It
I
is ass.
I would still, despite the controller, lean towards A due to the games.
I think our Lord and Savior Gabe over here is calling an A, and I am happy to go with that. So I think it's
Okay.
a good shout. I think it's a good
Okay.
shout.
Bear in mind, I'm meaning a low A
Yeah.
because I don't think that a console should be reliant on its games, but
No.
influence still has to play a part in this
Yeah.
ranking as well, especially since I'll be real, I've not actually used an N64, but so I don't know the actual how bad the controller actually is.
Mhm.
But just from influence of the games and understanding, yeah, no, that controller looks like shit. Like
Feels like shit too.
well, of course. Like just from those like aspects of it, I still think that needs to be an low A or high B.
Yeah, I think there's a balance to be struck there. I think that so the thing is with the games coming out as well, as much as we don't want to sit there and rely on games for things. There is a lot of stuff like I'm gonna have a whole lot of things to say about Xbox 2000s in a minute.
Fair. Yeah.
And so like and games is a huge contributor. It is a huge contributor because the games like also they ran decently, and because of the technology they were able to like make decent stuff on there. So yeah, I'd say huge evolution in gaming.
And look at that, you got
So
4 controller ports now. You can play with up to 4 people. Mario Party
yeah,
went
that
crazy.
too. Yeah, so
Like, not,
I
I
would
will
say
say the
A.
controller, it's not that bad. Like, it's not unplayably
Mhm.
No.
bad. It's just really awkward, is what it
Yeah.
Yeah.
is. It feels awkward. You get used to it, but it does feel awkward, which is the main problem with it.
Yeah.
But like again, it's not controllably bad. And I will also say, to bring the looks into it a little bit, we're seeing the black version of the console, which is the one that I have, which is fine. But there
Yeah.
are the Nintendo 64 had colors, man. Like, it
Mhm.
had so many different colors. People, I think, I would almost argue that the most iconic Nintendo 64 is the purple one, which
Mm.
people can like see, and like that's the iconic one. There was like yellow controllers and stuff that really popped, and like even the cartridges had like those different colors. Like,
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time was like gold or whatever. It might have been Majora's Mask. I can't remember which. Like, it was very fun. Like, it was a very fun console. Whenever you sat down to turn it on, like, you just feel like you're about to have like a joyous, fun time. And 99% of the
Mhm.
time, you were. Like, that is some classic old school fun video gaming. So
Yeah.
I think I can agree with Gabe here, and
Yeah.
I think we can bump that up to A.
Yeah,
But
let's do that.
should it be higher or lower than the Super Nintendo?
Ooh.
I would
I'm
say
thinking lower. I'm
lower.
thinking lower.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool deal. All right. Perfect. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to sort of a more infamous example here, the Nintendo GameCube. Um, this one is interesting. So this would be the first Nintendo console I ever had, was the
Mhm.
Mhm.
GameCube. Um, love the
I
intro,
think it's
first
the
of
first
all.
one I actually played. So, like, as in at the time when I was growing up.
It's very nostalgic for me.
I
Yeah.
think
So
yeah, first one that I like one of the consoles that I played. First console I played of Nintendo's.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Um
I think I had a Game Boy first, but for home consoles it was
Yeah.
GameCube. But
yeah.
GameCube's weird because I think the GameCube's really great.
Mhm.
I think
Yep.
Yeah.
I like the square design. It's got a
Yep.
fucking handle on it, so you can carry it around,
I know.
because that was
I love that so
the best
much.
feature.
Yeah.
It's got the tiny little discs that are so funny and silly looking. The intro's fun because you just see the like little 3D of the cube happening. You can
The
change what it sounds like,
memes
and it
Yeah.
as
sounds like a
well.
duck. The
Yeah.
controller is fantastic. We still use that controller in Smash Bros on Switch today because
Yep.
it's such a good controller, and I would argue maybe the second best controller ever. Um, but the games were hit or miss.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's the problem. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm thinking between like a B or a C on this one, maybe down to a C, to be honest. It wasn't like it didn't hit as hard in terms of, well, yeah, the games, you're right. There are little things about it, like being able to take it to your friend's house and, being able to have four people play it, and the controller does slap. I will say though, the whole disc thing moving into that, I wasn't 100% a fan of that because, your
Mm-hmm.
games get more damaged more easily, and me being a child, or did I not look after discs properly?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not their fault. That's just that the times were changing.
Right.
But I would say I'd probably put this at a C for myself. So,
Yeah, I think a C is actually probably better than like look, could it be in a B? Sure, but there needs to still be like well game it shouldn't like have be what's the right word? Like it shouldn't be dependent on like the gimmicks.
yeah.
There needs to basically be a balance between the games and the gimmicks and all like the features of it and everything like that. Um, I think C just solely because of yeah, the games were very hit or miss.
Yeah.
And like granted, I had like for me I had a limited like use of a GameCube, but still like games were hit or miss with the ones that I did play, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that. I think we'll leave it at C for now. Reserve the
mhm,
judgment to change for later, but I have a lot of nostalgia for it. I really do. And I
right,
Yeah.
think it
I do
has
as
the
well, yeah.
potential to be an S tier. If the
Whoa.
games I do. I think if the games were
Okay.
there on
Yeah.
the same level as some of these other ones, it could be an S tier because the
yeah,
controller's better. Like, it's
Yeah.
fun, it looks fun. It
Yeah.
transitioned to discs, which allowed them to put more stuff onto more space onto things, and the graphics look
True.
better, all that stuff. But
It's true.
the games were just like during that era that like sometimes you'd get a banger, but even some of the bangers, quote unquote, like Super Mario 60 or Super Mario Sunshine, still are like divisive in a way in their own like fan
Resident
base.
Evil, the original, was on there.
Resident Evil 4 as well, right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was
But it's
there.
it's a smaller sample size of
Mm,
like influential games than like Super Nintendo and 64. So I think I'll
yeah.
Yeah.
have to agree with you guys on that one.
Yeah.
All right, Nintendo Wii.
Oh,
This is a big
oh.
one right here.
I have a
It's a
lot of
bit
nostalgia
gimmicky.
for
Me too.
for the Wii. But yeah, it is very gimmicky where like it
Can
I
we agree it's somewhere up here somewhere,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
It's not C,
What
Yes.
right? It's
It's
somewhere
not
up
what I
C.
here.
will say about it is that it paved the way for Nintendo Switch to be as excellent as it was. There was a couple of
Mhm.
missteps along the way, but I do think the Wii is like extremely iconic. I think some of the games were like all right. I can't really actually think of any standout games because it was quite gimmicky, so it's quite hard
Yeah.
to play a lot of the games. Like I remember someone had Call of Duty, World at War
Yes.
on their Wii, and I remember trying to play it, and I was like,
Awful.
"What the fuck is this?" It was disgusting. So it's like it's good if you want to play like party games and family friendly stuff, but it's not good if you want to sit down and go like first person shooters or something. And like you could get
Yeah.
other types of controllers, right, for it, so
Yeah,
that
there's a
you
Yeah.
lot of
wouldn't
stuff you
have
can use for it.
to use the gimmicky Wii remote. You can actually, because I
Yeah.
remember my
Mhm.
friends were like playing Zelda, and I was like, thank God you have that backup controller because that would be
Yeah.
nonsense with the
Yeah. That
Wii
was really
remote.
the inception of the pro controllers, you know.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
I
could
think
play it was backwards compatible. I think is
yeah.
this the first console we're talking about that's backwards compatible?
Was it?
I think so.
I think so. Yeah. I
Like
don't know. I don't think the Super Nintendo is backwards with NES. I know obviously Game or
When
N64
did the
isn't.
Wii come out?
Um shit, I don't know. Somebody who's not sharing the screen is gonna have to Google
I'll
that.
do
But
it. I'll do it.
I
I'll do
know
it.
for a fact it is backwards compatible with the GameCube.
Hmm.
Because I have one. I've done that before. The top opens up and you have four GameCube ports, and you just put in the disc the same way you do a Wii, and it's backwards compatible. You can just plug in a GameCube controller and play your GameCube games. I
So
think it's the
apparently
first one we're talking about that's like that.
the Wii came out in November 2006 and it was backward compatible. I just want to say that the Xbox 360 came out in 2005 and that was backward compatible as well.
okay.
But it's not as
Okay,
impressive
okay.
because I think that the Wii obviously had older generations coming in. So I think
Yeah.
that it was quite impressive that it managed to pull what the GameCube had. I think the Xbox had a bit of a leg up because they raced the 360 out the gate so fast.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's quite impressive.
It's
I would
also, I
definitely
mean, like it's the first one we're talking about.
Yes.
Also,
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
would say that for me, I think the Wii would probably be, I'd say I might put it at A just because I think it was just so everyone had it in their house.
Mhm.
It worked perfectly at what it was supposed to do,
Yeah,
you know?
especially for the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
and there
And
are some
Probably.
bangers on it.
family
I mean,
Yeah.
consoles.
Super Mario Galaxy, a lot of people consider still one of the best, if not the best Mario 3D Mario ever made.
Yep. Yep.
Smash Brawl has sort of a mixed reputation, but it's still a really solid Smash game. Um, Mario
Yep.
Kart Wii, really fun
Yeah.
time to play.
Yep.
Let's not forget
Uh,
all the me stuff. That
the
was
me
uh
stuff,
Yep.
the
all the
inception of we're
memes.
still living with me's today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Iconic. Yeah.
There's a lot of
I'd say
shovelware on it too, though.
there's
Yeah.
almost S, but I think that like as a functioning console comparatively to other consoles, I think for me this is like a family friendly safe A.
Yeah.
I think I have other stuff that could go at S, and that's just me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. I think that it deserves to be an A, probably above the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah,
okay,
I'd
okay.
agree.
Um, okay.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
put that there for now. I'm not
Ashton's
sure I
like
fully
waiting for the
agree
end. Yeah,
with
yeah,
that,
that's
just
fine.
because like it sold a lot, but I'm not convinced that the games were there. But
That's what I
like,
said. Yeah. I don't think the games were
Yeah.
there, but I think
it is really like it's a big deal. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. If anything, I think it shaped. Also, I will say as well. I think that growing up, what I will say for women is that a lot of all my female friends didn't really have Xboxes and PlayStations. They had Wii's. They all had them in their houses, and if anything, this was like a lot of women's of my age first times getting into gaming. and then they like evolved from there and went to like all these different consoles after that, like the Switch and PlayStation, Xbox, whatever. And so this is almost like a like their first attempt with a console, and then they graduated into the bigger, better spaces. And I just think that this is such an important like gateway console for so many people. So I think that that's also really important. I know the games weren't all there, but you know what was there? Friends and family and fun to be had together.
Yeah.
So
And the
yeah.
friends and family you lose because you play Wii bowling and
Yeah, yeah. And Mario Kart was just so it's just fun on a bun. So
But always remember, wear the strap.
wear the strap.
yeah, wear the strap.
Don't chuck that thing into your TV. You're gonna have a bad time.
Yep.
All right, the infamous Wii U.
D.
Yeah, D. It's not it. See, the thing is that the console itself is not the worst.
No,
It's
just the gimmick.
It is a gimmick, but
Yeah.
it's not the worst. The problem is that no one knew what it was.
Yeah. It
So
was like
marketing
an
really
evolution
threw
of
it
the
off.
Wii
Yeah.
that didn't Wii hard enough. Like people, it's funny how Nintendo brought it back. They had the Wii, which is amazing, and then when they did the Wii U, everyone was like, "What?" And then Nintendo Switch came out, and they were like, "Oh, we see what you were going for now. A combination of everything." So yeah, D. Yep.
I wonder how much this thing would have benefited from just being called Wii 2. Like,
Yeah.
literally just Wii 2 and let it be distinct. I like the gamepad. Hot take.
Yeah.
I used to play like Earthbound on it on Virtual Console on the gamepad before, we had all this other stuff that we can do, Steam Decks and all that stuff. And I like the gamepad. I think it does a lot to sort of bring the DS era like stuff to a console, which I think was really, really cool. But I mean, it was pretty resoundingly a failure. The third party stuff was not there. And even the first party stuff wasn't really there. Like there was maybe a very small select like couple games, but that was kind of I agree with that there.
It was an important stepping stone for sure.
Yeah,
Speaking
they learned
of
their
stepping
lessons.
stones.
Yeah.
Big stepping stone. One small step for Nintendo, one huge leap for Nintendo. I don't know.
The
Switch.
Gaming kind. The Switch. I'm gonna say S on this one. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow. Just right in there, right to S.
Yeah.
Wow. Powerful. All right. Anyway, no. Switch is crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I wanted a Switch, and I wasn't a big Nintendo girly, and I really wanted a Switch because for me it was like, oh hey, you want a handheld and you want a full-on console, you can take it anywhere when you're traveling. Boom, Switch.
Yeah.
It's like it was huge for the COVID period as well. Everyone was playing Animal Crossing. That's a huge thing. The games have been bangers. Things have been ported over into the Switch, and they work pretty good. Not everything transitions as smoothly, but like you can play like Control on there, and it plays okay. It's just I think it's a banger of a console, and I love it.
I agree.
So,
yeah. It's got everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's
and
got
to get to your TV as well.
It's got It's got console gaming. It's got handheld gaming. It's fun. The colors are fun, especially if you have like the classic red, blue Joy-Cons. The games are incredible. Mario Odyssey is my personal favorite 3D Mario ever. Breath of the Wild revolutionized open world video games forever. I mean, the third party was there. Like it was present. It was there. We've got like Metroid Dread bringing that back. Like Smash Ultimate is the best Smash game ever and is absolutely mind-boggling insane. Like the Switch is a console that should not exist, but it does, and I'm so happy that it does. I agree. Yeah, it's the only thing the Switch messes up on is its battery life.
Yeah,
it's dog water, absolute dog, and also obviously the power of it isn't as good as you would want it to be in the generation that it came out in, and it's still currently in. But that's kind of what Nintendo does.
That's why I have a power bank for it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
because that battery's dying. So especially if you're playing something intensive.
We're still on the Switch, but
the OLED. We can do this one quickly because I feel like almost all the points for the Switch apply to the OLED except better screen, better battery life, but a new SKU and a little bit more expensive. So
I don't know how to feel about this. It doesn't feel it's not as revolutionary. It's just taking the idea they had and just
I think A.
Yeah.
I think it's bottom A.
Yeah.
I feel like the same with the next one.
The Switch Lite, yes.
Yeah. So the Switch Lite is just the Switch without TV, and who the hell wants that? It's all right. It's good for some people that won't need that, but there's just you lose some of the magic. So I'd actually put this one a B.
It's not a Switch. It doesn't switch.
No, it doesn't.
It really doesn't. I would put it. Yeah, I'd put it at bottom of B.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Easy peasy. All right. Does anybody watch? Did anybody play the Game & Watch?
No.
I did. I had a friend who had this.
Okay. Do you have a rank for it? Because I don't really have a rank for it.
You know what? I do think that it was kind of just for shits and giggles. It wasn't that strong. It was okay. I don't think it was that revolutionary. It had color. That's fun.
Perfect.
Hey,
that's huge.
Yeah. I just feel like it just didn't revolutionize anything really that much. I would probably put this at like, God, like maybe like C or D, to be honest. I'm not entirely sure. I only dabble with it a little bit. Does anybody else have an opinion?
Is it better than a Wii U?
Probably say no. Probably say no.
It probably goes below it.
It's not.
Is it better than the Virtual Console?
Yes, 100%.
You're the visual boy.
Yeah, because I can at least play on there. I'm not gonna lie, the Game & Watch was really gimmicky and quite silly, but at least you could have good fun times on there. I'd probably consider putting it top of F. I'd consider it.
Wow.
It just like it was.
You were like
silly.
C, D. Now you're back at the F.
Yeah, and now I'm like maybe it should be top of F. Oh, you know what? We'll come back to it later. I need to think about this.
We'll come back. Comment section. Be mad at her, not me.
Yeah, be mad at her. It was just they brought it back recently as well. I think they re-released the Game & Watch recently for shits and giggles. It wasn't like a powerful console, but it was just fun. But like, it's kind of stupid though. So, yeah.
All right. And speaking of handheld consoles, the Game Boy. Hot take: Game Boy is a C to D tier console.
I think it was really iconic and important. And the worst thing was this is the one without the backlight, right?
Right. This is the OG.
Yeah.
No color, no backlight. Everything was green.
Good luck trying to play that at nighttime.
Yeah.
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 You need to have a flashlight.
I think C.
Yeah, I think C. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Huge for bringing games on the go.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
that backlight really hurts. And everything's green.
Yeah.
Like it is iconic though. It's so iconic, but I mean, functionally it's like what we get later. I mean,
exactly.
Like Game Boy Color. I mean, come on. It's at least B tier, right?
Yeah.
Like it's no backlight, but it's got color now. Full range color. It's fun. It's more fun because of the different colors and casings you can get. There were games that were exclusive for it, like Pokemon Yellow. I know distinctly, like Pokemon Gold and Silver. Like I'm mostly just Pokemon Boy with these Game Boys at this point.
Yeah.
But like it's still missing the backlight. But I think it does everything the Game Boy does, but better. So
yeah.
By the way, I just circled back to Game & Watch mentally. Put that at top of F. Put it top of F. Because the gimmickiness of the watch was kind of dumb. I'm just like, I had fun, but it was dumb. Yeah. There you go. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it was dumb. I enjoyed it. It was dumb.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. OG Game Boy Advance.
Did not play this.
Yeah, and me neither.
Oh, have y'all ever played any games on the Game Boy Advance at all?
No.
Yeah. I think I did.
No Pokemons or anything like that?
Well, I mean, so I had the next console on this list. So, like, yeah.
Okay, let's do this because I'm kind of in a similar boat. I had a OG Game Boy Advance once in my life, but I mostly had the Game Boy SP. I think whatever the Game Boy SP goes, the OG Game Boy goes below it.
Yeah,
because there's no backlight. Still.
Yeah.
I think the Game Boy Advance is S tier.
You know what?
Okay.
I see that. I see that. I see that. Should it be above a Wii? Because that's the top of A. So this would be between the two. I do think that for handheld gaming, this is like pivotal. So it depends on the kind of perspective we want to put it.
This one is the SP that we're talking about, or the original?
Mm-hmm. This is the SP.
Okay.
The square one that you could flip up and had a backlight.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I have one somewhere around here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
I think I'd be happy with it in S.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
The games are there. I mean,
Yeah.
Yes.
ports of Super Nintendo games
Yep.
remastered for the Game Boy Advance graphics. The Pokemon games are incredible on there. Fire Red, Leaf Green, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. You got Mystery Dungeon on there. You've got remasters of Metroid games on there. Metroid Fusion. Like they had Mario Kart has a game on there that's like okay, it's whatever. But like Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memory, like they
Yep.
remasters of Final Fantasy VI and a couple of like it's got everything. If you Fire Emblems, if you wanted to play a handheld console back in those days, like you could not beat the Game Boy Advance SP. It was, I think, just incredible. And like all the sprite work, if you still go back and look at any Fire Emblem game, any Pokemon game, it looks gorgeous. Like it
Yeah.
still holds up today. And it was pretty sturdy. I dropped my Game Boy Advance SP so many times on concrete as a kid. And that thing never broke.
Still good?
Like it
Yep.
was so
Yeah.
solid, and it had the backlight. It could close so the screen wouldn't get tore up and stuff. Like, and it was
Yep.
backwards compatible with Game Boy Color.
Yep.
Like, I think it's a S tier personally. It's not as good as a Switch.
No. I just want to bring up, by the way, just another thing, because I just double checked because I was like, I swear the Game & Watch didn't have much. It only had 4 games. That's how gimmicky it was. It only had 4 games.
We're still on the Game
Yeah, I'm slowly remembering things, and I'm like, oh wait, no, that's dumb. No, move that. That's
We're gonna
dumb.
go to Xbox One.
I'm
and
happy
she's gonna
where
be like,
it
wait,
is.
the Game Watch actually.
Next, I'm done now. I just
Yes.
remembered it had 4 games, and I felt that I needed to bring that up. I was like, wait, didn't it have like hardly any games? But it was fun when you were playing the shit you were playing. Next.
Next.
All right, I'm put the OG Game Boy at A because it's the
Okay.
same, but like it just doesn't have the backlight, which makes it by default works. I do think it looks better. I just have nostalgia for that shape,
Yeah.
design, color.
Yeah.
But no backlight
I mean,
is
like
the worst.
I kind of would put it at B, end of B for me, in terms of like how you're talking about it. But I mean,
it's just
I
no
hadn't played
backlight.
it.
It's so tough without a
Yeah.
I
backlight.
know.
Like they made an attachment, which they did for the Game Boy Color too, but an attachment that you clicked onto it to like shine a light on it, and it still didn't really work that well. Like
I feel like the Nintendo, the is it the light? Is that what we called it? It's
Switch Lite.
Yeah, Switch Lite. So that one is I think it's better than the other one.
Yeah,
That's-
I think I
that's
do
just
like
me.
this. I think I
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
B tier as NES, Switch
Yeah.
Lite, Game Boy Advance, original, and then Game Boy Color.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and knock out the Nintendo DS.
Oh my God. I think I'm
Original.
not gonna lie. I think I'm like B or A tier on this one, to be honest. Huge
I'm
part
A.
of my childhood. Yeah.
Same. Like
Yeah.
that's more or less as soon as I got that the SP was kind of like basically kind of phased out.
Mhm.
I still bought games for that handheld, but I just played them on the DS.
Yeah, backwards compatible right
Yep.
there.
Yep.
What I will
exactly.
say about it as well is that so one of the greatest memories I have is on my school bus every morning. Our trip was about 45, 50 minutes, and I sat at the front of the bus with all my fellow nerds. I loved them all so much, and we'd all get out our Nintendos, and I think 1 or 2 of us would actually have Mario Kart. So the rest of us would just jump on, join them, and then we'd have Mario Kart battles on the way to school and on the way back every day. And I didn't really see any other handheld console at the time doing online gaming like that. That was bananas
Yeah.
to me. So
Yeah, and a
Yeah.
lot of them had only one person needed it for a lot of the
Yeah.
games. Some games you needed all people to have the copy, but some games like Mario Kart, one person needed it, wireless communication. You could play. I remember doing the exact same thing, Nicole, like
Yeah.
on the bus,
I
playing
got
Mario Kart because
really
somebody else had it.
motion sick. So I'd constantly be like, I'd be doing it, I'd be like just dry heaving the whole way.
So is there a reason why it wouldn't be S tier?
Mm.
I feel like that the games were good. I don't think they were as good as the S tier. That's just me.
I think what I will say is high A, like
Yeah.
above
IA
the
for
Wii.
sure. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm down for that.
Yeah.
I think I'm cool with that. Because y'all remember Picto Chat?
Oh,
Yeah.
I loved being on the train to like London, and there were other kids using that on the train with me, and so I'd just start messing with them. I was the same age as them, but they'd all be talking on there, and I'd just join their little lobby and be like,
Just start talking. drawing
Yeah,
a penis, you know.
I remember that they were like all really far ahead of me on the train. I remember them looking around being really confused, and I was like, it was really fun.
Like
I
that
do
was
get,
the
yeah,
DS was the first time that I got into like Wi-Fi stuff because
Yeah.
the
yeah,
Pokemon games, Diamond Pearl, Platinum, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and Black and White to a lesser extent. Also, side note, the most Pokemon games on a console I feel like ever, right? Like there
Yeah.
were so many
oh
on the
my
DS.
God,
There
But
was.
like that was the first time I ever did like Wi-Fi battles, and
yeah,
Platinum is my favorite Pokemon game ever, and like it's on there. So like I have nostalgia for it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. And it has y'all remember the microphone is like in the middle,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
and like you
Oh,
could
oh
use
my
it for
God,
things.
when you're playing Mario Kart, and you need to blow up the balloon. You'd be like,
Yeah, like
be like spitting on your screen while I'm dry heaving on the way
disgusting.
to
And I'm like,
school. Yeah, no, it's terrible. Really funny though. Oh yes,
oh,
Yeah.
hilarious.
the nostalgia.
All right, we could put that there. What about the Nintendo 3DS? I put X. We have
Gimmick.
the XL
Yeah.
on here, but this could apply to just the
That's just
3DS and the XL. It's just a better version.
Yeah.
Just a gimmick. It's just
Yeah.
silly.
It's worse than
It's
it's
definitely
worse
worse than
than
the
the
DS,
yeah.
but the 3DS is a
Yeah.
good console.
Honestly,
Yeah,
like
it is.
yeah, the 3DS is
Yeah.
a good console. Yeah, low B to high C.
Yeah, one of the kids on my bus had that, and I went, and he was like, "Look, it's 3D," and I was like, "Yeah, but like, why? Why do you
Yeah.
need
Yeah, I
that?"
don't. The
You know?
3D makes me sick, bro. Like it doesn't. It
Yeah,
I
hardly
never
ever
used
works.
the 30 aspect of it.
yeah. One of the
Yeah,
guys used to get nauseous. He'd turn it off, and I was like, "Then why'd you buy it? You know, idiot."
this is one of those features gimmicks that like it's kind of like the in the dual sense now the haptic feedback like it's only
Yeah.
used a handful of times and like
Yeah.
sometimes it works really well but it like most developers
I
just didn't
need
care.
haptic feedback in my controllers or my brain breaks. Like when I play like video games on my Xbox, if I don't feel a vibration, I genuinely become kind of stupid for a minute because I'm like, whoa, 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 you know.
Wait, where's this?
Yeah, it's so weird how immediately it just my brain stops working as soon as that happens. It's so
I
silly.
mean,
Yeah.
like the 3DS has some pretty banger games on it
Yeah.
too. Like outside of even
Yeah,
just Pokemon, you've got a lot of the like 2D Mario's on there. They did a little like the 3DS almost had a power similar to like a Wii, but in a handheld form because you had some like really like they put Smash on here, like Smash 4 they put on here as like a 3DS game.
yeah.
They put Kid Icarus Uprising found a resurgence on the 3DS, which was a great game, but it definitely doesn't reach the same heights as these other consoles.
Yeah.
I feel
No,
like.
It just
no.
feels like it's trying to do what the DS did, but it didn't. It knew that it had to do something, or else it would just be
Yeah.
seen as like a bigger DS.
I like that
Yeah.
our rule is at the moment we seem to be going for the same thing, which is like, oh yeah, the revolutionary item, yeah, that goes higher up. Whatever just did that, but like you know, not as revolutionary underneath.
Well, like it's not necessarily that. It is the fact that like none of the features that the 3DS gave really
Yeah.
did much. Like, yeah,
No.
it had 3D, but who really used the 3D aspect?
Yeah,
I know I
no
didn't.
one. Yeah.
And yeah,
They
it
literally
had
made
like
a
the
console for it that just got rid of it.
yeah.
Yep.
I mean
Yeah.
the like it had like the whatever it was, like the kind of joystick kind of thing.
Oh, it's really
But
rough.
it is. It's just not
Just
good.
Yeah.
Like
ugh. I don't know how they could have done it, but if they could have made a joystick that like when it's closed, it pushes it and locks it down. But then whenever you want to play it, you open up the screen and you click it and maybe it pops out. Because the way it is now, it's just this flat circle that just doesn't feel great to move around.
Yeah.
That's the rough part about it. I do think
so what I'll say is I'm willing to move it to like above the Game Boy Advance, but
Yeah.
it's not better than the Switch Lite even.
No.
I think I can get down by that. I can get
Yeah.
behind it. Right there. Put
Yeah.
that sucker right there. On contrast, I think the 2DS
Oh, right, this
is
was-
just like
What was
like down here somewhere.
Yeah.
Like
Uh-huh.
D tier somewhere.
Yeah.
what was that? You can't even like fold it up to carry it around
Yeah,
nicely. It's just ugly.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't
Yeah, I'm
get
fine
it.
with D.
Yeah.
I do not get it. New 3DS, I think This one's tough because it does a lot of the same stuff. There's a 3DS, except there's a few, the very small selection of games that are only available on the new 3DS. But like, it doesn't really. It's not worth the new SKU. So like, I kind of feel like it's
top of D, maybe
down here.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
even below the Wii U, because like at least the Wii U had like, I don't know, it had stuff. Like it had nothing that the new 3DS does is that different from the old 3DS, except just a handful of games. It's like
I'm really looking forward to being done with Nintendo here because we've got one more DS there that I can see, and I'm so happy this is about
just gonna go right there.
Yeah,
It's just gonna go right there. D tier right below the 2DS is the 2DS new 2DS XL. Same, except you can flip it now. They learned the lesson. You can close it. But like whatever, dude, whatever. Like you just get a 3DS and turn the 3D off. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's not really a point. Too many DS consoles, I swear to God.
Yeah.
Now we're on PlayStation.
PlayStation, the big daddy here.
Yep.
No, I'm the Xbox girl, so this is going to be interesting. Oh, God, look how many DSs are at the bottom. Oh, my God, we're not even done with them. Oh, my God.
There was no. So everything that you guys see there from, I'd say here at this like different looking Wii down, I moved out of the way because they're just basically effectively different versions of the same thing. So like this is just the original DS, a different version of the DS, another different version of the DS. Like, who cares? Like they're all
I agree. Who cares?
I need more substantial differences than that.
Yeah, get in the dirt.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and try to knock out the Sony PlayStation 1
line. Yeah. So the one I think is actually a B.
Yeah. We got a long way to go. PlayStation's got a lot of good moments.
Yeah, so. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just not as good as the next one. Like
I would argue this is the console I was alluding to when I said that I think there's a better 3D console.
Okay. Fair.
Over the Nintendo 64. Because they did implement the twin joysticks in it.
It's true.
There are a ton of games. I mean, if we're talking influential games, like we're talking Spyro, Crash, Metal Gear Solid. Like we're talking a bunch of old school RPGs like Chrono Cross. We're talking all the Final Fantasies that come out on there, 7, 8, 9. Like there's so much that you could do on that console, and I will admit I'm very nostalgic about it. It's very much a nostalgia pick. It was the first console I ever got. But like, dude, the opening crawl, like, y'all, the bass that shakes your room whenever the white screen with the like Sony's triangle or diamond logo comes on, and then it switches into like this weird mystical like sharp sound whenever the PS console comes on.
Feel the nostalgia dripping from you.
It gives me chills every single time.
Yeah. I just want to say I'm not going to be like this with Xbox. So I'm
it wasn't that great. It did not.
I just feel like you've got a lot of nostalgia, so we need to find a balance here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what do you want from us, Ashton? What do you want? Where do you want it?
My placement is here in between the Super Nintendo and the Nintendo 64.
You know what?
However, I know that that's really high because I have a lot of nostalgia here for it.
I mean,
yeah.
I
see what you mean, though.
I see what you mean too. My biggest thing would be move the OLED in front of the N64.
Oh, I think that's another conversation. I don't know. Does the OLED do enough to change? Like,
that's the thing. I don't think it does enough to change the whole.
Like, if that was a Switch, absolutely.
Yeah,
Switch
PlayStation
OLED
was like Sony's big boy. Came in, did the thing.
Yeah.
Gave Nintendo the middle finger.
Yeah. I honestly.
I love that about the original PlayStation.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's actually a good spot for PlayStation, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But where would PS2 go?
Oh, I mean, is that a question?
It's S.
That's not even. It's up here. It's at the top. It's the highest one.
Yeah.
Is it?
Absolutely.
Really? Someone explain why. Someone explain why.
Gabe, go ahead.
I'm an Xbox girly, so explain.
Okay, fair. So like for me, This is like the first actual PlayStation console I played. Um, so
Same.
also nostalgia,
Okay.
but it had a lot of good games. It had
Hmm.
a lot of like it wasn't the reason that it sold well. I'm very keenly aware wasn't necessarily just because games. It was also because it was around the same price, if not cheaper, than buying a an actual like DVD player.
Yeah.
It had all this different stuff that I think that Sony implemented because it knew that hey, people will want to use this, and then eventually after they get the use that they initially used it for, they will go on and use it for the other thing that it can do. As well as that, like I said, I have a lot of nostalgia for this console in particular.
Yep.
So like for me, it's just a important console. It has a like good, I feel like one of the better controllers. Um
I hate the
again,
PlayStation controller, but that's only because I will actually say actually that I've got a few friends who have different disabilities, different
mhm,
struggles with their hands, and they have found that the Xbox controller is very like, they find the PlayStation controller very difficult to work with because of its thumb placement. And so things like
yeah,
Xbox and stuff is easier for them, but that's just from what
yeah.
I've heard from them. So I'll use the
That's
argument later.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
to be
fair enough.
honest, I completely actually, I completely agree. I do agree.
Hmm.
I just wanted to fight you on that first. I
Fair
think
enough.
you're right.
PlayStation 2
Yeah.
is
Yeah, yeah.
just like a lot like the Switch. It just has everything. Like
I just
it
think
is the epitome of
everything
like
else is going
what a
downhill from here.
console is. Like, yeah, pretty much. Cause like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's got the games.
Yeah.
Like really hard hitting, great, influential games, and it has a ton of them. It's
Yeah.
got the sales to back it up. Like there's a reason why it's the
Yeah.
best selling console of all time. It's got the fun
Yeah.
factor. Like its startup screen is nostalgic. The controller is basically one for one with the PS3 controller, except for some reason they made it cheaper and it's worse in the PS3. So I don't know why they did that. The PS2 controller is fine, but it is
Yeah.
what it is.
Hmm.
It's got online. They
Yeah.
piggybacked off the Xbox after that, but it does have online. Like
Yeah.
there's just not. It's very sturdy, very durable. They hardly ever die. Like it just has everything you want in a console. Boom, built in right there.
Yeah.
You're good to
It was
go.
really
Go
the
play.
first of its kind. It's kind of like the PS2, I guess, would be the starter of the current generation of consoles we're
Hmm.
experiencing, in my opinion.
Like
Yeah.
So
doubling as a DVD
yeah.
player,
Yeah.
backwards
Yeah. Yeah.
compatible with
Yeah.
PS1. Like it's
You can stop
incredible.
arguing it. I feel 100% you're right. You're right. I feel it. You're
Look,
right.
I
You're
Yeah.
right.
gotta. This is my opportunity to gush about the PS2, so
That's
I was
fair.
You're a
going
Yeah.
for it.
hundred
I was
percent
going for it.
right. You're right. You know what? I know I'm a loser on Team Xbox. I'm only Team Xbox because I'm now stuck in their ecosystem. I've invested too much money and time into everything I've done with them. So, I'm now stuck. Okay. I'm bitter about it. It's not my fault. I blame my father. Now let's move on.
Now I do have the Slim on here, which
Yeah.
I mean, it just takes the PS2 and cuts that chunky boy down
Yeah.
to size.
I've got the
It's not
pink
really any
Slim.
different.
I gifted it to my
Oh yeah,
stepdad for shits and giggles. Yeah. It's like bright pink, like Barbie pink. And
so I mean, like I
yeah.
don't know. I take it. I think they're effectively the same
Yeah.
placement. I'm not sure it really matters
Well,
here.
like
Yeah.
it didn't change the hardware or anything from
No,
my
it's more
understanding.
like which one do you
So
like to look at better?
yeah.
I
So I
feel
think that
like the rule we've been following is putting anything that's basically just a copy of it in the tier below. Is
That's
that
true.
what we want to
That's
do
true.
today? Yeah, we've been kind of doing that.
yeah,
So yeah,
That's
yeah,
true.
shove it
that's
there.
fair.
There you
I'm a
go.
little
Yeah.
nostalgic for the Slim, just because it's the one that I had,
Hmm.
and it is
Yep.
also still durable while being like this thin. But
Yeah.
like it's just a smaller version. And actually, I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
the PS2 original looks better because it has the blue on there, and that really
Yeah.
like helps it stand out. But the Slim is all black.
Are we happy with the slim placement there, or do you want to
Yeah.
shove it further back? So I think, like I don't know. I think that the DS and the Wii are pretty iconic as well. So it's like,
I mean, we can because like
I
in
don't
the
know.
end, it's like it could go either way, honestly, with
Yeah.
that.
Let's just go next. Let's just move on,
Yeah.
and then we'll come back to it
Yeah,
later.
we can go next. We can go.
I
Fat
hate the shape of this thing.
PS3,
Yeah, I hate the shape of
the
it.
whale PS3.
I mean, so it had the Blu-ray player, right? It was the first one to have the Blu-ray.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this
And
is the one that
also,
would be backwards compatible with PS2 as well.
yeah, also this did have a bunch of like it had Uncharted, it had
Yeah.
I think with The Last of Us, it was that console generation still. I had a lot of bangers, lot of bangers. I wouldn't say it did anything crazy, big step up from PS2. I would probably put this around B tier for
It's a
me.
step down for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it didn't evolve anything. You got trophies, but that was a piggyback off of Xbox. So, and it had Blu-ray, which like was a step up in that direction, I guess, but it wasn't that like mind
Yeah.
blowing.
And Gabe, it
So,
had a lot of problems in terms of like developers, right? Trying to
Yeah,
make
it
stuff for
did.
it.
Yeah, it
mm,
did. So like, yeah, I'm fine with B. If funnily enough, I would have argued for B anyway. Um,
cool.
so
Yeah, I kind of
yeah.
I'm there. It's also
It's
very
getting
sturdy.
easier.
The
Yeah.
PlayStation games are very like the PlayStation 3, the fat one is very sturdy,
Mhm.
but
Mm.
like it looks it's enormous, man. That thing's like
That
50 pounds.
Yeah.
curve, I hate it. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, we can talk more about the games here when we talk about the PS3 Slim here because I
All
think
right. That's
it's the
above.
PS3 but
Yeah.
Just,
just better.
just I hate it less. Yeah.
More
Yeah.
memory for you to store stuff on.
Yeah.
It lost, I believe, the backwards compatibility,
It
right?
did,
Is that
yeah.
true?
Oh,
So it did lose that, which is
Yeah.
the big. It's
Yep.
arguably worse
shove
than in
it
that
back. Yeah, shove it back. Oh my
case.
goodness. How
Like
dare they? Yeah, put it back there somewhere above the 3D. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I like it there.
I think it's B
Yeah.
tier above 3DS
Yeah.
XL. Is that like
Yeah.
because I think this is about the fat PS3 at B tier. The top of B tier is about as high as PS3 can go
Yeah.
because that's the one that still has backwards compatible, and that's just huge.
So the PS3 Slim is
But
where they started being like, no more backward compatibility, and they
yeah,
started their little
Yeah.
thing of being like, now we're going to start charging you for it.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
good,
Yep.
good.
pretty much,
Yep.
You can, you
pretty
can,
much.
you can see the little
Uh,
moments in the timeline of the greed coming out.
we're not going to worry
Yeah.
about that other PS3 because again, it's kind of effectively the same thing that we're talking
Yeah.
about, except they just
Yeah.
changed where you put the disc in because why not?
Yeah.
PS4. Gabe, hit me with
Uh,
it first.
yeah.
I think that it's an A.
Why A?
So this is like the last console before it was very clear that Sony didn't give a shit about people anymore. Like it was just that median line between like when developers still cared
Yeah.
and then they stopped caring.
So I do have a question, right?
Yeah.
So other than like we have some bangers in the PS2 and PS3 generation
Mhm.
of games, right?
Yeah.
Was PS4 just riding the coattails of all the previous games that they'd made? Like what was new? I mean, yeah, what was new? Was God of War, but that was just a remake of the original God of Wars. What were new games that came out on the PS4?
Well, reboot, not a remake.
Yeah, it
Because
was a
Yeah,
people
sorry,
are gonna
yeah,
flame you if you
reboot.
don't say that.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Sorry, apologies.
They're gonna be like, yeah.
No, you're right, you're
So-
right.
The
I
keyboard
also
warriors
just-
are going to town right now.
Yeah.
I just prefer it over because it's just a more powerful console, to be fair. Like in the
Yeah.
end, it's just
I mean,
not
this is when we started installing games, right? Like we stopped the discs were becoming less of a thing, and it was
Yeah.
becoming
Yeah.
more about installing
We
that.
stopped doing this.
Yeah.
We started doing this shit. And
I mean, like I know that there are like good games. Like, wow, this isn't helping my case. Then like,
well, let me jump in here. Let me jump in here because I agree that it's A.
I
The
have
problem with the
PS3.
PS3, the problem with the
Okay.
PS3, it has great games. I would be
Yeah.
the first to defend that.
Yeah.
Uncharted,
Same.
Ratchet, Last of Us, like you can find
Journey.
all sorts
Journey,
of stuff.
Gabe, Journey.
However,
that's- yeah.
however, the problem with the PS3 was that it was severely overpriced for what you were getting. That's why Xbox 360 won that generation, is because PlayStation came out, they had such a success with PS2, and they thought they could just like do whatever they wanted. So they overpriced the PS3. Xbox came in and cut them down to size. PS4 was PlayStation getting their mojo back. This was Xbox fumbling their bag by doing all the Connect has to be there. It has to be all online. You can't trade your games. And PlayStation was like knocking them down. And then you get you get games. Like whatever you can put on PS3, like let's say Uncharted, really good first 3 games, but 4 is the one people like the most, right? Last of Us gets their remaster. You get I mean, there's a few you got God of War coming back. You've got Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth being on there, exclusive for a long time. Like it has the library of games that end up on the PS4, I think, even though I really hate that the backwards compatibility gets taken away, that's a
I was gonna
reality that we have to
say,
do, which keeps
isn't
it from
that
S
the
tier, I think.
yeah,
But I don't
okay?
think
Yeah.
you have to have backwards to be an A tier because we have consoles on here that don't have that are A tier, like Super Nintendo doesn't have backwards. It's still A tier. Nintendo 64 still A tier, doesn't have
I do
backwards.
think it was harder to do at the time though, or wasn't much of a focus because everything was
Maybe, but
new.
who knows? I don't know.
I
I
feel
don't
like
know.
here we're
But
looking back a lot.
PS4 was like a lot of people's quintessential console for this generation, and people still are like playing on their PS4s because it was
Fine,
so huge.
fine,
That's what I think. That's what I think.
fine. Take your win and shove it. Christ.
I
That's
mean,
what
I will
I think
say
it's the PS3, but just better.
it did
Fine.
have Bloodborne.
It had Bloodborne. How could I
Fuck,
forget?
you're
It had
right.
Bloodborne.
You know
It
what?
had
I take
Bloodborne.
back everything I was saying and thinking. You keep it in there.
How is it Gabe the one that
That
brings
should
up
have been the
Bloodborne, not
first thing
me?
you led with,
I know, I
Ashton.
should've-
You silly
Bloodborne,
bitch.
it's right there. It's right there. It's right there.
Yep.
Yeah, I think PS4 is very close to being as powerful and as high tier as a PS2 if
Fine.
it had backwards, but it's just missing that. It bumps it down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll allow
That's
it.
what I
I'll
think.
allow it.
We can. The Slim's fine. Whatever. We're gonna.
I
we're
have
gonna
a
skip the
Slim.
Slims.
Yeah.
We're gonna
it's
skip the
just-
Slims. They're the same.
Yeah.
But the Pro is different because it enables
Yeah.
the 4K. It tries to give a little bit of extra power.
It's the kind of middle step between it was that generational middle step
Yep.
where
Yeah.
they're like, hey, let's try and get people who don't want to invest in the next one to just get the high end version of what we made a few years ago. And
I'd put
every
it in.
generation
I'd
does
put it in
this.
low C.
Yeah, I'd put
Yeah.
it there as well. It's not really
Fair.
doing anything special.
It's way too expensive for how little power you actually get from it.
Yeah. Just wait
So,
for the PS5. Yeah.
Yep.
Speaking of,
Yeah.
this is going to
Oh,
be
the
a tough
Wi-Fi,
one.
the home broadband.
This is what the Wi-Fi router Seto Kaiba's jacket, you know.
Can I
This is
jump
the
into
tough
this
one.
and just say I'm not
Yeah,
playing
go ahead,
in person,
Xbox.
but I want to I do want to say I like that with this you can take off like the panels and kind of like
Yeah.
put your own panels on there. That's very fun and creative. I do think the controller is interesting. I do think that I forgot to mention this to the previous generation. I think they did do this with this where there's sound that comes out of the controller.
Yeah,
And
they did that
I
with
think,
PS4. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a bit gimmicky and stupid. The only time I enjoyed it was Death Stranding when the baby was crying. It was coming out of my controller, but then
Yeah. Yeah.
my grandmother was hearing it and she was like, "What the fuck is that?" And I'm like, "No, it's the baby. It's the baby." She was like, "What?" Because I want to come out of my headphones. I was like, "I don't know that would happen." I do think the controller is a good controller. I enjoy the It's a bit. I don't like how small PlayStation controllers tend to be. Like I like them small, but I like a softness to them, more comfort. And I feel like the PS5 is a step up for me in a lot of ways. I don't have one. I played other people's PS5s.
Yeah.
I very much like the console, and I feel like things are getting better in a lot of ways. But that's just me. Please tell me, as PlayStation people, educate me on what you think.
I'll be real honest. Yeah, no, to me, the PS5 has been just the worst PlayStation.
Okay.
Whoa!
It has had great games,
Jesus Christ.
but it's just not been as good as the previous generations. Like it is just even more of just Sony releasing the same games.
Yeah, that is, I do agree there. They're just
popular.
releasing the same stuff again and again, which is why I was kind of saying with PS4 why I wasn't feeling there was too much happening, because I was like, how have we stepped up really from PS3? PS5,
I think
it's
that's
kind of
what
like,
it was. It was that PS4 started that.
Yeah.
So it was fresh and new at that point in time, and then now the 5 is the one that
I think as a console, I really like the PS5 as a console. I think one thing I didn't love, I think at the time, wasn't the price point kind of stupid, and they bring it down because they made it really, they tried to up it, or am I just
think
crazy?
so. I think the Pro has the price problem. I think the PS5 was like fine.
No, they announced their price, and I think Xbox and PlayStation were like waiting each other out on who would announce the price of
they
their
were
next
waiting
thing.
each other
That's what
out.
was happening.
Yeah.
And I think PlayStation announced theirs, then Xbox like bumped theirs 50 quid down in order to try and get a leg up.
Yeah.
And this is also the generation. Are we doing different consoles here for the one that's digital and one that's not digital?
No, but that is something we should be bringing up. Yeah.
Yeah.
This would be the physical one, but we can call that as part of this because that is a thing.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the fact that we're getting to a point with digital where a lot of people do enjoy digital media, that we're in a digital age, it's happening. So there is choice there. So I do enjoy that. Xbox and PlayStation both went with it. It was a good idea. I think that the PS5 is all right. I think the games aren't amazing. I'd probably put this around like the better end of B tier because I think the console's good. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Like I said, well, I think that it is the worst of like the PlayStation consoles. It's not like a bad console itself. No. It's just compared to what we got, how long it took for, and obviously part of it wasn't really in control of Sony or PlayStation. Part of that was out of their control. But even when it was in their control, they were still not really trying to get things that actually captured an audience.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't really, that's the annoying thing is they don't really have to anymore.
Nope.
Because they've won the console war and we know that. And so why do they need to try so hard anymore when they can just keep milking the stuff they already have? And that's the thing that is frustrating, is that because Xbox hasn't been able to match them, it's just kind of gone to shit. So yeah, we need Xbox to start, trying again.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're gonna keep waiting on that one.
Yeah, you are.
We've lost. We've lost so much.
I think the PS5's controller personally is the best controller. Just period.
I agree.
I think it's the best controller ever made.
Yep.
I think the console's really
ever made. Oh, but definitely.
Yeah,
great.
I think ever made. It's really close, but I think it's close. Yeah. I think the console's really good because it's still getting better is the thing, because especially when you're talking about the PSSR, the AI upscaling that they're doing for Sony games now. When you're talking about 4K, when you're talking about, the way games are just performing nowadays, it's like PS5 is still continually improving. The problem with the PS5 to me is the games, and it is like I'm kind of more of a PC guy now, so that could be part of it, but they're not finding ways to force me to go play my PS5 on the living room. Like my PS4, I was playing it all the time. And granted, I didn't have as powerful as a gaming PC through most of the PS4 lifetime, but even so, like we've already talked about, we've had Uncharted 4, God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us, Final Fantasy 7. Like there's countless things, Kingdom Hearts, like there's so many games that came out on PS4 that were like drawing me toward that console. PS5, they've got a few here and there, but not enough for me to boot it up every day and get on it and play it. And
ironically, I think lately Xbox has been pushing out some like cool ideas and cool concepts, trying to come up with something to fight PlayStation, but they're just not landing, not being executed right. And it's such a shame. Hurts me.
I do think it's a better console than the NES, but I think I agree. I think even though the PS3 was a colossal fuck up because of the price, I think the games ended up being more impactful there.
100%.
Which is why
I can list so many that I love on PlayStation, Journey being number one. Gabe and I are Team Journey. So yeah, that's one of the reasons I wanted to buy a PlayStation. I was like, I need to play Journey. So yeah.
And they fixed backwards compatibility for PS5 to 4, so that was nice at least as well.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's a big deal. All right, PS5 Pro, I honestly D tier IMO.
What's it doing really? Yeah,
like it is overpriced to hell.
I think it came out. I feel like it was too soon. I feel like they should have waited or like a bit longer or something. I don't know, or just jump the next generation. I don't know. It's just I always find it weird when they start doing pros. I've got a bunch of bad things to say about Xbox in a minute about that, and I love Xbox, so love-hate relationship.
And Gabe, you're like a resident pro hater, right?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah,
no, D is definitely like a good tier for it. I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
Like it's still a PS5, so I feel like it can't be the bottom.
Yeah.
It's a PS5 with a slice in the middle.
It's the console that showed PlayStation is getting a big head again. Like
Yep. Just like they did with the PS3.
Yep. Except they just don't have the games this time. So it doesn't.
Guys, I have such amazing things to say about this next thing. The first ever handheld console I had was a PSP, bright pink one.
PSP.
I had a bright pink one. I played everything on there. I think that this thing is fucking amazing. Like, I love this thing. I think this is god tier. The only thing I hate is when I'm walking around and that disc is spinning in there because it's like you are on the verge of dying if I knock this thing. I watched movies on there. My mum and I used to, like, when we were on holiday, because we didn't have any way of like watching stuff in bed like that, because the flip up phones were still a thing. I'd go with my little PSP, insert like Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and we'd be in bed with my tiny little speakers on, just like watching on my little PSP. I love it. That thing saved me so much boredom. Obsessed.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't
It's like C tier,
really.
though.
I know, it makes me really sad. I want it to be in like B.
You like already know.
I know.
You like talk about it like it's an S tier, but
Because it was so important in my life. But I know it's not that good.
Yep. Exactly.
I still have mine somewhere. My boyfriend nicked it because he wanted to play
Mine's broke.
games on it. And so he was like, I'm gonna steal your PSP. I was like, you go ham.
It's very easy to modify to do other things with. So mine actually is like that, because this thing in the back is broke. The hinge popped off.
Yeah.
So I can't use that anymore. So, but the PSP was. I have nostalgia for it because I also played a lot of it. I played a lot of the Ratchet games on there. Birth by Sleep's on there. There was a Resistance game on there. Uncharted, God of War had a few smaller games.
I played Lego Star Wars for the first time on there. That was good times.
It like, it's just like when you compare it to even a Game Boy Color, a Game Boy Advance, a 3DS, a Switch Lite, it's like it's nowhere close to this thing,
no,
unfortunately.
No.
Yeah.
But
so
I love it.
Almost like, do we think it's like high C or low B is the question, really?
I want low B, but that's just me. I'll take high C if you guys want. I just want it noted that you're never going to see me fight this hard for a Sony
a Sony console.
Yeah, that's fair.
I love this thing.
I think we should give her like low B for that.
Yeah.
Please. This changed my life.
All right, we could give you low B on this one.
Yay!
Do we want to skip this like weird PSP one?
Yeah.
Like the
that was
flip
weird.
phone looking one.
Yeah,
we could just skip right to the PS Vita.
My stepdad played Silent Hill on this, and him and I used to get our PSPs together and play games. It was always good fun. I think that PS Vita's pretty cool. But
I think the Vita's cool.
Yeah, I don't know if it's as good as the PSP was like the first one. And the PS Vita is just like tacked on thing, so it's like underneath is where I put it.
Like, it looks better. It feels better because of the twin sticks and stuff.
I don't think it deserves to be in D, so I'm glad that I've got this BC situation going on, because I do think the PSP is good, and I think the PS Vita is also good.
Like, Vita just didn't get supported like it should have, is I think the problem.
Yep.
It's not like the Vita itself isn't a bad console. It's PlayStation's treatment of it that was bad, I think.
I agree.
But because of that, can you name 2 highly influential, impactful, or all-time just Vita games? 2.
Nope.
The silence is deafening, right? So
yep.
I struggle with where to put it in C. Like, is it better than a GameCube? I don't think so.
I'd put it like arse end. I'd put it around. Yeah.
Like, is it better than the OG Game Boy? Like,
I feel like the OG Game Boy was more influential.
Yeah.
Gabe, thoughts?
I'm fine with it being behind the OG Game Boy.
Okay, I kind of feel the same way. If it had more stuff, I feel like it'd be higher.
Yeah.
All right, Nicole.
Let's go.
Here we go. Here we go. We're in the Xbox. We're in the Xbox era.
Okay.
OG.
I've got things to say. So my dad actually had a weird little like microchip situation, like, USB type thing that was for the Xbox console. And he used to put music on there that he got from his computer. I don't know how the hell he did it. And I used to be able to play music at the same time as playing video games. And that was an epic time of my childhood. Yeah. So I'd be playing like racing games with that. I played bloody like Midtown Madness 3. Great game. It's so good, honestly. Like, that was like my first ever car games. Halo slapped. You got Psychonauts. There was some really good games coming out at the time that sadly Xbox just hasn't built on and kept as time has gone on, which is an absolute shame. The controller, I just want to say, that controller right there, that's a great controller. The original Duke controller, what the fuck were they thinking? What were they thinking with that thing? It was, as a child, holy crap, I'm so glad my dad had the spare controller. Because oh my God. I think that it was I think my mother's here, hold on. Yeah, they're talking in the other room. Just gonna ignore them. So I think that this controller is good. I think this Xbox is good. I think that it doesn't deserve to be S or A. I think maybe B. I mean, Halo 1 and 2 were on there, but what else was there? I feel like the thing that made it really good was they just took a PC and shoved it in a console.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
That was good. It was a really good console for its time. Yeah, look how beautiful it is.
Look, it's so bad. Look at that collector's edition. Let's go.
Yeah, I have that.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Like, come on. Look at that. When do you see this anymore? When do you ever see this anymore? Only on Xbox.
Yeah.
When do you see that anymore?
Never. Never. I do think that it was a big deal. Not as big deal as 360 though. I would probably put this around B. Maybe even C.
What's your
I
think
B maybe.
Xbox?
So I never got into the original Xbox. I was someone who got into it with the 360. So like, frankly, I think that just from the fact of like understanding why they made the original Xbox, why they did this, also the fact that it just looks like sourdough.
What? What?
Is it the slices?
Yeah.
The
X.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I mean,
X. Literally the creator of the Xbox played into that at some point. It is I think that if we look at that, I think that the original Xbox, I'd be fine with whatever Nicole thinks it should be.
It also did online multiplayer pretty decently
Xbox
for the time.
Live was
LAN parties, Xbox Live, it was all good. I think that it did a lot. It started taking things that it's like these guys looked at PlayStation and went, "How can we do that but be bigger and better?" And they tried. I'm not going to say that they were, but this is trying really hard, and it's doing a really decent job.
Yeah.
So I'd probably put this round B tier.
Okay. So I really like the OG Xbox. I like it a lot. I think it's the best Xbox they've done still so far, just personally in terms of like.
I disagree, but
like, the exclusives are actually there. Like we've already like Halos, obviously we've got those, but you even have like
Psychonauts,
Morrowind, only thing on there. Psychonauts only on there. Like they had some really weird ones, like Fusion Frenzy. Like that was that was when they were experimenting with things, and it was really an interesting time. That it had third-party support, and I remember playing a bunch of third-party games on there. My friend had an Xbox, and I would go over there, and like the PlayStation 2 was my console, right? Like that was for me. The Xbox felt to me like the console you play with friends. Like that was the one you go over to your friend's house, you plug in that second controller, you co-op all the way through Halo, you play Legendary, like you get that was the co-op console for me. So I really love the Nicole, you talked about it, playing like Need for Speed, but being able to put your own soundtrack over top of it.
Oh, so good. I remember
like that's
insane. The first time I listened to Coldplay, my dad had Coldplay on there because he was going through that phase, and Clocks was on, and I would like go into like snowy nighttime level racing, and I'd have Clocks playing, and it was the most therapeutic experience.
So good. It's so good. I really like the Xbox. I would argue man. To give Xbox as much respect, I honestly, as a PlayStation boy, I would put it in bottom of A.
That's what I will take bottom of A, top of B, bottom of A. I'll take it. I'll take bottom.
Yeah, I really like the OG Xbox personally.
Yeah,
the controller's weird. I don't like the controller. I think it's
no. That controller's good. The original,
it's got like
disgusting.
the white and black like buttons that are.
That was good for like that was the flashlight and changing.
Yeah, the light was the flashlight.
Yeah. Trying
to
playing Halo 1 or 2 on the 360, I was like, wait, we're backward compatible, but we're missing some buttons. What is it now? Yeah. It was always an interesting button map problem.
Weird.
Yeah. Okay.
But now the big boys, we got Xbox 360. We're gonna put this one probably away and just do the Elite and the OG because there are the big console durability differences that I think are huge.
Yes.
Okay, so 360. I've got some pros, some cons. I think this is a fantastic console. It basically won the console generation at the time. We're going against PlayStation to a degree, not in every way, but in a lot of ways. Yeah. It was the last time that I could have self-respect as an Xbox gamer. Before people started destroying me, roasting me within an inch of my life. This was the age of Halo 3, Fable, Gears of War, Mass Effect when it was still like exclusive. Yes. Alan Wake was an exclusive on there. There are some amazing games that came out during this period.
Gears of War. Yep.
Yeah, so achievements came in for the first time as well. That's like that was something PlayStation copied off of Xbox. It had Xbox Live Arcade and stuff like that. So that eventually like grew to be like the Idea Xbox stuff and all the fun smaller indie projects. I think that and oh my God, that I just remembered that original dashboard with the sliding things and it was I just
Yeah.
hated it. I'm so glad they changed that. But I think that, and also really good parental controls as well. I was a kid growing up. My dad made sure to lock that shit down because I was a girl on the internet and I was young. So thanks, Dad, for being responsible. Yeah, I
Good for
think
him.
that Xbox was really 360 was ahead of the game. I
Yeah.
do think now, obviously, I need to bring it up. The Red Ring of Death, bad.
Yeah.
Somehow did
Which
not impact sales that badly.
what do if I recall right, I could be wrong, but wasn't the Red Ring of Death only a big like a massive problem for like the first like the
Yeah.
white Xboxes?
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah, yeah,
hear.
100%. So
Yep.
it happened to mine after about 8 years. So my girl held out for a long time. And
Yep.
the great thing
I
is
still have
that
mine.
yeah, so when it happened,
Wow.
so I was the Xbox One had already come out. So I was kind of like, well, there's no point in me asking for a new Xbox 360. They're not doing that anymore, probably because new generation. But my dad's Halo 3 Special Edition Xbox, they had to send him a new one. The only thing I really bloody hate about this console is the hard drive is that stupid clip-on crap on the
Yeah, at
top.
the top.
That was
Yeah.
stupid. I had that. I was dumb. I had 5. Fun fact, inside, what you could do is I took a hammer to it because I didn't have any screwdrivers. Took a hammer to it, smashed it open, took out the hard drive. You could just slip that shit into the Xbox 360 Elite, and that's how I managed to transfer all my things over when I eventually upgraded. I would say that this is. I'd say it belongs toward the top of A. I want to say S, but it's because it was so fantastic. But Red Ring of Death holds it back, even though Xbox did pay for their mistake and replace everyone's consoles, which was very nice of them to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say top
Yeah.
of A or like near the top of A. I think it did a lot for the gaming space.
So honestly, for me,
Mhm.
I think that this specific one, if we're going to be doing them both, like the Elite and then the original, this is an exception where I think that the Elite should be higher than the original.
Why is
I
that?
agree because it doesn't have the red ring of death
Yeah,
problem.
Yeah,
exactly.
I kind of agree.
So I think I think that the original one should just be high B
Okay.
and then
Okay. Okay. I'll
A
take it. That makes
for
sense. Yeah.
the Elite.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's slap the Elite up there. It's okay.
Are you
It's okay.
okay, Nicole?
My baby died in 2014. She held out so good. I'm so proud of her.
I would honestly be like cool with keeping them in the
I'd
same
want it to stay in
tier,
A.
Okay.
I
but
think that
just
they
put the
both,
elite like
because this is a weird one where we've been doing it the reverse the whole time, doing it like the first one's good and then the
this is
other
the
Yeah.
first one. It
yeah.
actually made it better.
Yeah. They
Yep.
went, hey, you know how we fucked all that up? Yeah, here you go, enjoy this now. And it's like, thanks guys, you fixed it.
Yep.
So the thing with the Xbox 360 for me is
Mhm.
obviously it's the highest Xbox ever got. It is the most successful, most powerful Xbox has ever been and ever
Yep.
maybe will be at this
Yep.
point.
Mhm.
It had exclusives. They tried things. You introduced said it like Xbox had arcade. It had like
Achievements.
the multiplayer scene was there. Achievements, like it
Mhm.
had all that stuff. It was really the first I would consider modern console to really succeed at everything. Like it
Yeah.
brought us all into the modern world. And even though PlayStation had online for free, it had a lot of problems with getting hacked and stuff like
Yep.
that, getting shut down.
Yep.
Xbox did not have that problem. And so I would say that honestly, I think that it could be the only Xbox console to get S.
Please,
Yeah,
that's all I want.
sure.
I think it deserves it. The 360 did so much.
Because there's
Please,
not
please.
outside of not necessarily having exclusives that I care about outside of Halo. I know that they do exist and that people
Mhm.
do care about Gears, people do care about Fable.
Mass
I
Effect
might not
was
be
an
one of
exclusive
them,
as well.
but
It
they
was.
are there.
Yeah.
And Mass Effect was Witcher 2 was an exclusive, and I love that
Yeah.
game. Like they actually had this was the time when they had those deals that they lost later. So
Yeah.
I think it deserves to be on here.
Yeah.
I just don't know where I almost want to put
I want it there.
right.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
put
I
it
want it to
behind
go,
PS2 and
yeah.
Nintendo Switch. It's not as good as those two.
But it's
I
better
agree.
than the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah,
I
I
think.
think they all deserve one spot somewhere at the top for their perfection.
Yeah.
Or
I
as
think
close
they've
to
all
perfect.
had at least one S tier.
Ironically, Nintendo's most recent console is the one that's at the top, which I think is
Yeah.
just goes to show
Yeah.
how good they've
Yeah.
done. Yeah.
They figured it
All
out.
right.
They
Well,
figured it out.
let's go down and carry on having Nicole pass these judgments. Right. You son of
Xbox
a
One.
bitch. Right. Right. Hold on, I got to angrily. All I'm thinking about is Xbox. Is it Don Maverick or something who was like Xbox, and then you got like, oh my god, it hurts me. This console pissed
We're
me off. Did it
gonna
look
we're
good?
gonna we're gonna judge the Xbox One as its own thing. We're gonna keep
Yeah,
the Slim by itself, like away, and
yeah,
instead we're just gonna do
yeah.
Xbox One, One X, then Series
You know,
X and Series S.
I'm just gonna say right now, it had like fuck all exclusives. It was just it hurt me in so many ways. I hated it. I think the advertising around it at E3 when they announced it with TV, movie
Yeah.
TV, was a huge part of it, and it affected its sales. Yeah, everything they did everything wrong leading up to it. The console itself wasn't terrible. But I can't believe that I'm going to say this, but marketing, huge factor in every fuck up they had.
Yep.
And also that trading game thing they ended up putting in the bin where they were like, you can't share games with people. And they ended up scrapping that, but the damage is
They
already
scrapped
done.
everything.
I'm going
everything eventually.
D on this.
Yeah.
I'm going D.
Yeah.
Hard D.
It's the only I was going to buy the Xbox One. That was going to be the console I was going to get that generation.
And then they fucked it.
Yeah, well, because I had dial-up at that point. So it just made more sense to get the PS4.
I was the only person that sat there, watched all that, and went, they're not doing any of that. And then they scrapped it all, and I went, good.
Yep.
But I lost a lot of friends. I lost a lot of friends during that period. They didn't die, but they might as well have, because it's like that last online like 15 years ago thing, or however long ago we are now. No, it's like 12 years ago. 12 years ago or something. It was bad. So yeah. D tier.
It's honestly an impressive level of fuck up. How far they fell from grace.
Phil Spencer has tried his best to bring it back, and he's not been able to fix any of it. He's tried, senior people, like I don't think it was him that shut down Tango Gameworks, but I'm still mad about it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, I won't argue against that. So what about the Xbox One X? This is them trying to revitalize the Xbox One. This is post all the changes, so they've reversed everything.
It plays better. Everything's updated. Everything. It post changes. Yeah, no Connect. See, I didn't even mention the Connect. That was stupid. Yeah, see, that's another reason why I didn't like the Xbox 360 Elite, because that was when the Connect gimmick started, and I was like, get out, get in the bin.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
They really tried the Connect.
Yeah. In there. Bottom of
is it so? Is it worse? Do you think it's worse than the PS4 Pro?
No, I think they're pretty neck and neck, to be honest. They're basically the same thing. So
except you can play PS4 Pro with the console exclusives is the only thing.
Just because the Xbox has like no games, it deserves to be at the bottom of C.
Fair. It does have a better controller, I would say.
Yeah, well, you win some, you lose some. Next.
But like, what are you going to use the controller for if there's no games to play?
Have to change my battery.
Battery time again.
We'll wait while he changes his battery. You know what's really funny? I'm so brutal to Xbox, but I love them. I have a tattoo of Halo ODST on my arm. I love Xbox so much, but they've screwed me over so much. It's amazing. I feel like I'm in such like an abusive relationship with Phil Spencer.
It's kind of the thing with like PlayStation now, right? Is that like they're only successful because there's not really much competition anymore, but like we scream all the time about how terrible the PS5 Pro's price is, how there's not enough games that they've been pushing for the PS5. PSVR is a disaster. Like they have so many dormant franchises that they haven't been bringing back and really need to, because they're sitting on so many gold mines. I feel
they really are. Xbox has been trying, but they know the numbers aren't hitting, and so they're selling things off to PlayStation because they're like, we might as well make a profit instead of trying to continue.
I mean, I would say the numbers can't hit if you never release a game. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean they've been trying. They've had a few good things.
they
Like Sea of
finally
Thieves
released
is
stuff.
a banger. Ori was
Mhm.
a banger. They've had
But
some
see, that's the problem.
bangers.
Sea of Thieves wasn't a banger. It became a banger. That's the problem.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But that's the thing. It's a banger now, and it's now on PlayStation, I believe. So yeah,
Now, is the
the
Series
fridge.
X
I've got it.
banger?
Yeah, it is. It is a banger. I'm gonna say
Yeah.
that right now. It's a banger. You can also, right, here's my favorite thing about it. You can use your Xbox One controllers on it, compatible, both. Backward compatibility is a thing. I will say I didn't mention any of this with the previous things. Game Pass slaps. It has EA Play tied into it. Don't have to pay extra for that if you go for like, Game Pass Ultimate or whatever I have. Different tiers are good. I enjoy it. I think it slaps. I will also say that with this, you can unplug your Xbox Series X, while like be playing like 10 games, right? Unplug it, take it to your friend's house, plug it back in. It has quick play. It remembers exactly where you were from or quick resume, whatever it is. It remembers exactly where you were, even if you unplug the damn thing from the power supply, which I think is
It's
amazing.
crazy.
Yeah, I think that the Xbox Series X is a fantastic console. I
Yeah.
think they did an excellent job. I think it runs really well. I've had like zero issues with it. I love it. It's my trusty fridge. And I love that because I can still play Blu-ray, 4K, everything. It's a damn good console. I got nothing bad to say about it, to be
Yeah.
honest. So I'm gonna say A for that, to be honest. It's a damn good console.
I'm fine with that, actually.
And the price wasn't bad either.
Yeah. So Series X is like it's more powerful than a PS5. We know
Yeah.
that.
hmm
Game Pass is really like the big selling point of it. So you just buy the console,
Yep.
buy Game Pass, and you're set pretty much. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to be able to play so many things on
Yeah.
there that you would on PlayStation you're going to have to pay full price for.
Yeah.
However,
Uh-oh.
there is quick resume's cool.
Yep.
There is still the sticking point that I have, and it's the thing that keeps, in my opinion, keeps it from A. This is what I think.
Mm-hmm.
They're working on it still right now. They're getting better.
Are you about to say there's a lack of exclusives? Because they did
They
a better
don't
job
have
here
games.
than they.
They don't have games.
They've got more games than Xbox One bloody had, and it's a damn good console.
That's not a high bar.
It's a higher bar. I do think that that it has games. It has more games now. It's doing a damn decent job with games. They are bringing it back, and I think that they've unfortunately had to offload some of the exclusives onto PlayStation, but we have Starfield. We have Indiana Jones, that's a good one. We have the Ori games, we have Sea of Thieves, we have Hi-Fi Rush. We have these games. We do have them. And I do think I think it's a good console with some good games. It's just too late. And unfortunately, I do think that a lot of the games that are good do fly under the radar. And you as a non-Xbox person will just miss things. And even I'm struggling to remember them right now.
On PlayStation, because
Eventually,
Indiana Jones is coming to PlayStation.
I know.
Like,
Yep.
But it's still ours. It's still ours. We still own it. So remember that, and we have
Sure.
Bethesda, which is doing okay. And we have
Is it?
Arcane, which is doing okay. It's doing okay. Is it good? No, but it's okay.
Here's where I am at. I think the Xbox Series X is the best console that you can buy if you don't have already an established like gaming history. Like if you're somebody that's brand new coming into gaming for the first time, like I think COVID should have been their opportunity. They blundered that, but like COVID should have been the time for them to really explode, because the idea of, you buy a console, you have Game Pass, that's a subscription service that's like Netflix for games, and you're done. That's it. You don't have to do anything else. You have so many games that you can play without having to wonder, is this game worth $20? Is it worth $60? Like you have to do with PlayStation. I think that's its strongest selling point is for people who don't care, who just don't, have a lot of disposable income for games, like individually and stuff like that. The problem I have with it is for a console and this is very personal for me, which is why I'm probably going to defer to Nicole here.
Yeah.
But for me, as somebody who, has a gaming PC they use, the thing a console has to do is get me to go play it. And PlayStation still will get me to play it because every once in a while they will have their exclusive that you cannot find anywhere else unless you want to wait a year and a half to play it on PC, which I don't. I don't like waiting to play games that I want to play. I'm not waiting to play Rebirth or the third, Final Fantasy Remake game. I'm not waiting.
Yeah.
Xbox doesn't have that. They don't have every single game they release is also on PC. So for me,
Which they
there's
do
just
on purpose.
zero.
Yeah.
There's zero
Mhm.
purpose for me to buy an Xbox ever.
So I see what
That's
you
my
mean.
problem.
I see what you mean. What I will say is that I don't think I could ever be a 100% PC gamer. I am a console person through and through. That's just my jam. I think there are a lot of people who are never going to be PC people. PC is not as affordable as Xbox. I think that what Xbox has is Game Pass, which you can kind of do everywhere. I have a Razer Kishi, which is the thing you plug onto your phone. And
Yeah.
I play on Xbox Cloud Play on there, and I can pick up exactly where I was in a game on my Xbox. I can pick up exactly where I was, quick resume onto my phone. It's great. I think that despite there not being as many exclusives, I think that Xbox has so many games at such an affordable price that I think that what Xbox has done now, they didn't screw up this generation. They screwed up the Xbox One, and it's just been a losing game since then. Also,
Yeah.
Quantum Break still hurts from Xbox One. I didn't mention that earlier. They lost a lot from that generation. I think what the Series X does is it's they've realized we don't have anything else that we can do except to be an affordable, good place to go to if they don't want to go as hardcore as PlayStation. I know a lot of gamers who aren't ready to they're not big gamers in that they're not going to commit to single player big experiences. They want to jump into the multiplayer. They want to jump into easily more accessible games and pay a subscription to play lots of things for broad spectrum of people's interests. I do think that Xbox as a Series X as a console deserves to be bottom of A, I think, I think it's better than the original Xbox in so many ways. The original Xbox had exclusives, but where are they now? All we have left from that is Halo and Psychonauts, and
That's not the original Xbox's fault. that's Microsoft.
No, I know,
Mhm.
but in terms of evolution and things, I do think the Series X is fantastic. I think that it's doing a damn good job. So yeah,
Yeah.
I would say those three there. I think that unfortunately they're just they're stuck in a mediocrity and they've accepted where they are. But the console is damn good, and
Yeah.
I'm not losing that one. So
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am fine with it being an A.
Yep.
Next though.
Yeah, I love this. This is okay. So I'm gonna now have to defend this one really hard. I think top of B, or at least near the top of B, near the top. Yeah, somewhere there. So what I will say,
below the PS5, maybe.
yeah. So what I love about this console, and I'm going to defend this thing to my heart's content because I think this is amazing. So I've got lots of friends again who do not want to commit the price point of the Series X, who don't care about physical gaming and retaining the memory of games and stuff, and are much more happy to go digital because they just don't give a shit. I've got lots of friends that are like that. This console is built for people who don't want to commit that hard, who just want to play their games, who aren't going to be the biggest gamers, but are going to play a lot of the games they do enjoy. My friend's boyfriend only plays COD and FIFA. Ugh. But as in it just those two, it hurts me. He could expand his horizon so much. But this is the perfect console for him. He doesn't need a disk drive. He doesn't need all that memory space. He does not need a console that works as hard as the Series X. The main difference I've experienced with Series S and X is just a bit of the quality is just slightly different. It's not that bad that it affects your gaming. And on top of that, the only other big difference I found was load times in the only game that it affected me was Sea of Thieves. So in Sea of Thieves, I realized on the Xbox One, when I would die and have to come back, it would take me 1,000 years and my ship would have sunk by that time. Going up to the Series S, it's a bit faster by quite a bit. And so that's great. That helps me out. Series X, the fastest. You get back in super fast. The Series S is just the Series X, but for people who want to save some money. And I think that the affordability is so much better than the PS5's all digital option. I think that this is so much better for people. They took away so many things to make it affordable for people who aren't hardcore gamers. And I love this thing. It deserves good spot in B. So, yeah.
So for me, I think that it's closer to low B or high
Okay.
C, mostly because of the fact that to me, I kind of blame the Series S for bottlenecking Xbox because of their parity rule. Because remember,
See what you mean.
you have to make those games work with both of those consoles.
Yeah.
And while they can, there are developers, I want to say Alan Wake 2 was one of those ones where the developer came out and said that it was a difficult time getting the Series S and X to play nicely. And I think that really diminishes the S for me, because
I see what you mean. Yeah.
I don't care whether or not there is a disk drive to the Series X.
Yeah.
Because while I am more of a physical oriented person, I do play more digital games. The problem I have is that it did kind of bottleneck Xbox in what they could do. At least with the PS5's all digital, it was the same specs. It was the same everything.
Yeah. I guess I'm looking at this more of a consumer side. So like I love Remedy, and I understand that everyone's having a really hard time trying to like adapt for that. There are some cases in which a lot of series like the lower stuff, I think they did release it, but they had to, I think there might have been some delays along the line because of that. I will say that as a consumer though, I think the Series S is just a banger, and I've not heard like a single bad thing from my end.
Oh yeah, no.
I do think I do see your point. So my friend, I've had a few friends who've gone from the Series S to the Series X because they've realized they're like more hardcore and they've made the jump up. But most people I know who are happy to live in that zone live in that zone. I'll happily take a few hits and let it go down a bit, but I do think that it does belong in the B area because I think it's a really good console for what it is and this generation. And I do think that this is extremely consumer friendly.
Yeah.
That it's just tricky. There's a tricky
development
cycle.
I think it's higher than like the I think it's higher than the Switch Lite, because if you're comparing those two, they're both consoles that are trying to do similar-ish things in terms of like making a cheaper option for consumers to purchase that loses some stuff, but you pay less money. So that's the trade-off there. I'm kind of with Gabe though, in terms of like we saw it with Baldur's Gate 3, is that they took forever for Larian and Microsoft to figure that shit out to get it on Xbox, because Xbox was like, you got to have it on both. And they could not get co-op to work on the Series S. And that's what was delaying it for so long. And so Xbox had a window there where they should have had the biggest release from that year on their console, but they could not figure it out because they were so stuck on having both function, and it couldn't work. So they were shooting themselves in the foot. And I would not be surprised if there were more stories like that we just have not heard. However,
that's completely fair.
We haven't mentioned it with the Series X, but it's a point in your favor for the Series X too, to back up just a little bit. Backwards compatibility is insane on Xbox now.
Oh yeah,
like, it is absolutely ridiculous what they're doing, even improving games. Like it just comes with it. It's so fantastic. But in Series X, can do the same thing. You lose the disc part, which is a problem.
Series S and X are so neck and neck, but you lose aspects.
You lose the disc part. It is less powerful, so you are going to feel that a little bit. But if you're playing on like a smaller screen or you're playing a lower impact game, you're not going to feel it as much. I do think that the series. I have a Series X. Well, I don't, but I bought one for my partner for Christmas a few years back. So we do have one in our house because it was a cheaper alternative. She doesn't play games like I do, so she doesn't need a Series X. Like she just wants to play it for the occasional like Streamlight Valley, or she tried to play Starfield for a little bit on there. Like she only needs it for a few things. She doesn't need a more powerful console, so I can get a cheaper alternative. I think it's what Gabe said. It's bottlenecking the Xbox Series X is really tough, and that's also a thing that the PlayStation 3 had a problem with. Is its architecture being hard to develop for, which we've heard developers throughout the year say that. Just a knock against that. And I think the Series S being less powerful, bottlenecking the Xbox Series X, and not having a disc drive for backwards compatibility is just really hard when you compare it to the game. Like when you compare it to a PS5 or a PS3, or especially even if you go up to the A tier, it's just it pushes it back too far, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do agree. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Okay, I'm happy for this to go back a bit if you guys want it to go back a bit, but I do think that other than that, I think it is a good console that deserves a decent spot. So what do you guys think? because the bottleneck is a really good point. It's really hard for me to fight that. Like there's no way I can fight that. It is just difficult. It's so consumer friendly, but then it makes the development harder.
I'll also say
So,
for the
yeah.
Xbox Series X and S, their controller, got one of them right here. Oh God, it's so fucking bright. I think it's the third best controller ever made, and it's
I
the
love
one
it.
that I
think
use
the
on
controller's
PC
great.
like every time. You know,
Yeah.
the D-pad feels great. The grooves on the thumbsticks are great. But it feels great.
Yeah.
So it's a great controller.
Yeah.
I think that it's better than a Switch Lite.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's as revolutionary.
No.
Or
I
as
think
NES.
in the middle of B, I'm happy with. You know, I'm really glad you brought up the bottleneck as well, because I completely didn't even like consider that, because I just consider how user friendly these things are.
We're seeing them walk that back now. Like things don't as much have to be, and I think Baldur's Gate had a lot to do with that. Was how much people were like, we're losing so much money on this right now. Like they had to get that thing out, and that was their exception. They made an exception to the rule.
They didn't do co-op for a while, did they? Because
they released it without it because they made it an exception to the rule for that game. And so it kind of.
And I was fine with that. I was like, oh, you know, we gotta do it because of what Xbox.
I think that's fine if you can get it working, but lose a few features. The consumers just got to understand they bought a cheaper console, they're going to get a cheaper experience. Like it's
100%. Yeah.
So all right, I think we're actually gonna skip the Sega ones. Do y'all have any experience with Sega consoles?
Absolutely
at all?
not. No, we are too young. So shut them all and never used / heard of. Go.
Whatever your guys' thoughts on the Sega stuff is, y'all got to let us know in the comment section below. I did not have a Sega at all, ever.
Yeah.
I played like Sonic once.
We're too young, unfortunately. We're at that point now where our biggest like debates about consoles are from 2000s.
I played the Dreamcast a little bit, not the actual console, but I played like Ty the Tasmanian Tiger once. Like that was it. So we're gonna skip those, and that is going to be our tier list here. So to recap very briefly, we've got an S tier: PlayStation 2, Nintendo Switch, Xbox Elite, and the Game Boy Advance SP. And A tier, we've got PS2 Slim, DS, the Wii, Super Nintendo, PS1, N64, OLED Switch, PS4, Xbox Original because of the Red Ring of Death, Xbox Series X, and the original Xbox. B tier, we got the PS3 Fat with the backwards compatibility, PS5, the NES, the Xbox Series S, the Nintendo Switch Lite, the PS3 Slim because they got rid of backwards compatible, Nintendo 3DS XL, Game Boy Advance Original, no backlight, Game Boy Color, no backlight, PSP, and then C tier, we've got Nintendo GameCube, Game Boy, PS Vita, PS4 Pro, and Xbox One X, and then the D tier, Xbox One, thanks Nicole, PS5 Pro, Wii U, new Nintendo 3DS, new Nintendo 2DS, and regular Nintendo 2DS, and then F tier, Game & Watch, and the Virtual Boy. So that's the full tier list. You guys got to let us know what you thought in the comment section below. Do you agree with this list that's objectively correct 100% and there can be no disagreements whatsoever? Or do you disagree with it and you're wrong? Go ahead and let us know in the comment section down below. We'd love to hear your thoughts, especially with the Sega consoles, because we don't really have a lot of experience with them. I'd love to hear what you guys think and some of your favorite games from any of the consoles listed here. And that's going to be it. I think we did a good job. I like this tier list here.
Yeah,
I think I stand by it.
I think we all have different elements to give to this, so I think it's very interesting. I think our perspectives are actually pretty fascinating, and you know, I appreciate the honesty and important feedback, and you know, helping me course correct on some of the things there because things I forget. So I really appreciate it. Very important. So yeah.
So I mean, hey, if it had my way, all the Xboxes would be in F tier, all the PlayStations would be. No, I'm kidding. I'm not that crazy.
No.
But that's going to be it for us, guys. Make sure that you comment down below. Make sure you like the video if you enjoy this and subscribe to the Smash Jump YouTube channel. And go ahead and follow us on and subscribe to our Patreon. Gabe, go ahead and let them know what they can find on that Patreon.
So we have early access to select content, such as our original content, as well as early access to the podcast and a post show that we record after each episode.
It's a great time. We talk about whatever just comes. Sometimes we have a topic, and Nicole did a great job keeping us on topic last time, but sometimes we do not. And it just goes.
Yeah, the first time it went to shit. The second time, I tried to. I made the questionable questions. I asked some questionable questions, but then it went to a really good place. So yeah,
yes,
it's really like the the MVP section over there. You got a VIP over there. You got to come check it out because we have some good conversations over there. that's going to do it for us. You can follow me at Ashton YT on YouTube if you want to see me separate from Smash Jump. You can also go to smashjump.com and we'll read about all the latest gaming news, movie news, reviews, and all that kind of stuff. Gabe, Nicole, got anything to sign us off here?
So
I'll do Wormhole Extremists, Stargate. We rewatched Stargate, which may be a dead series, but we still love it and it's still alive in our hearts. So if you give a shit about that, then come over and check it out. Wormhole Extremists on YouTube. So Wormhole, the letter X dash Tremists.
Hell yeah.
Yep. You can follow me on Twitter at Gabe_REISINGER.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
It felt like there's more after that.
No.
Check out Smash Jump.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, we already had Ashton note that.
I know, but I want to end it on that again. Go check it out. We write stuff on there. It's fun.
It's the name of the channel, guys.
And we have a really good video about Astrobot that's doing so good right now.
It is.
So
Yes.
if you haven't checked that out, please go check it out. So
yeah.
Shout out to that one. Go check that video out and all of our other videos on the channel. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.